Welcome back, everyone, to Real Estate 360 Live. I'm your host, Ryan Sloper, joined today by my guest, Louis Cammarosano, the General Manager of HomeGain. Reminder that the show is here to answer any of your questions that you may have in regarding to real estate, whether, like I said, it's trying to get your credit fixed, whether it's trying to obtain a mortgage, whether it's you trying to figure out what to do in a distressed situation where you're no longer able to make your payments, the bank won't help you modify your loan to an affordable level, and you don't want your property to go to foreclosure. Typically there are alternatives such as a short sale that can save your credit, prevent and possibly allow you to be able to buy a home in as few as 2 or 3 years down the road, unless it could be fewer depending upon if you have a true hardship or not. You're being relocated to a different state because you're in the military. That there are exceptions where you could potentially be able to buy as soon as the next day or a year or so, as long as you haven't missed any mortgage payments. What it all boils down to are there are options out there, and you really need to know what they are. Don't just make a judgment call on whether you think that things are the way that you see them, because a lot of the time there are extenuating circumstances that could you might fit into one of them. The number is 877-245-2030. That's 877-245-2030, or reach out via the web at realestate360live.com. That's realestate360live.com. There's an Ask a Question button on the right-hand side. Just put in your question and your name and contact info, and we'd be glad to get back to you as soon as possible. Louis, there was an interesting little report that the National Association of Realtors puts out, and I like I said, I don't really put too much stock into what they say, but I think it's always interesting to see what kind of info they're pushing out there to the people and also to real estate agents. And this was the 2012 profile of home buyers and sellers, basically who is buying and selling. They said that 65% of the buyers are married couples, and 76% of the people selling are married couples. They went deeper in how many buyers and sellers are first-time buyers and first-time sellers. 39% of the buyers out there they have basically distinguished as first-time home buyers, 39%, that seems like a probably a pretty accurate number based upon what I've seen out there in the market, and only 34% are actually first-time sellers. Now, the number that's more, intriguing to me is that 39% buyer number, because what that kind of tells me is that many people are still, in a situation where they're upside down on their mortgage, where they don't really have any options. Their options are to stay in their home and wait for the market to try to come back to levels where they can break even on their house or get out of it for just a little bit of money, or, short sale their home or let it go to foreclosure if they're no longer able to make payments. So with 40% of the market comprising of just first-time home buyers, that's typically only going to eat up, maybe that lower-end price range. So what about all the other price ranges that are sitting out there? And I think what's happening in many markets is that, you have that gap where, maybe the $250,000 or $300,000 and under, all those properties are everybody's chomping at the bit, fighting over them, multiple contract offers. But then after it gets up to like $500,000, those are the ones that would typically be the move-up buyers, where they'll sell their home, try to take some of the profits, and roll it over to the next house. What I'm seeing is there's not too many of those guys out there. So there's a large gap of home purchases out there in that higher price range. The move-up buyers.
One step higher, Ryan, go to the really expensive homes. There's a very active market in those because the wealthy are continuing to make more money.
Yep.
So, the top places in Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, New York, London, and so on, those are going up. But I think the 40% new home buyer is about average according to NAR and their survey.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that reflects. They mentioned it just up slightly from last year, but they didn't give the whole historic. You have to buy the survey for $150 to get all.
Right. It was more of like an infographic that they had broken down into, these smaller components of things. But it was said one of their statistics was that 89% of buyers who used actually a real estate agent, which was up from 69% in 2001. I could kind of see that, and I think that it makes sense for a larger portion of people to be using a real estate agent. I mean, especially in a competitive market like Northern Virginia, the DC metro area. I mean, why would you want to go in and try to negotiate a contract on your own? And if it's something that, a very competitive price range or a very competitive, desirable neighborhood that you're looking to buy in, and you're going to go in with an offer without a representation from an agent, I would say that, more than likely the person that's representing the seller on the other side there's a listing agent over there.
And by the way, the HomeGain survey in 2012, we came up with an 89% number too when we did our survey of home buyers.
So that's pretty spot on then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that that's important. I mean, I do feel like, people that are out there, I mean, I always say, I guess, the people out there that file their taxes on their own and don't have a person that's actually, specializing in that help them. But, when you're dealing with something that's such a big deal, one of your largest basically purchases that you'll ever make, it's going to be probably your biggest expense that you have. You want to be working with a professional that, A, understands that market, that neighborhood that you're trying to buy or sell in, and they want, and then B, they want to be, have somebody that's skillful enough to negotiate back and forth to help you get the best deal possible, and also align you with other professionals such as a good loan officer that's, and maybe even a good CPA, because I think what a lot of people fail to realize is that there's, much more to buying a house than just, getting the keys and moving your furniture in and living there. I mean, you have to look at what are going to be the financial ramifications and or benefits of buying this home. I mean, I've seen in many
take advantage of them too.
Exactly. How do you take advantage of them? Because many cases, people, have never had the tax deduction, the mortgage interest tax deduction, and they're thinking to themselves, well, that's great. I mean, I always hear about this. How is it going to help me? In many cases, I tell people, well, go talk to this local CPA and see if you could actually raise up your exemptions, take more money in your paycheck, so at the end of the year you're breaking even. Sometimes that can be $200 or $300 a month. So it is important to not just look at it as, hey, I just want to find a place to live in. I mean, there are important financial aspects of it. Yeah, I mean, it's critical that when you're sitting down, you really look at how much you can afford, and aligning yourself with the right real estate agent to do so. I mean, Louis, you guys have a great service for people out there that are looking to compare real estate agents, right? What's kind of the way that they go about doing that, and how can they compare agents that they potentially may want to work with?
Well, if you go to HomeGain.com, we've got a large button there that allows you to find and compare realtors anonymously. As Ryan said, you tell us, HomeGain, what you're interested in a real estate agent. You fill out a short profile. We then ship that profile out to a handful of agents in your zip code. And they then respond to you anonymously, meaning you know who they are, but they don't know who you are because they're responding to your account. And then you take a look at them, you ask them questions anonymously, and when you're ready to pick one sounds right, that you think that they'll meet your needs, you then arrange to have a phone call, email, or a sit-down meeting with them. And this way you've at least not just picked the first one that's come your way. You've had an apples-to-apples comparison with a handful of agents, and you should be able to make a good determination at that point as to what services a quality realtor can offer you. So you go to HomeGain.com and you click on the Find and Compare Realtors button.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way to definitely get started, because many people, I would say probably I believe the NAR survey was about 40% of buyers get referred by friends, neighbors, or relatives. But I always say that it's important to do your own research as well. Just because somebody referred somebody, I mean, that's a great way to find somebody that might be good to work with, but they might not align with, your values or, necessarily what you're looking for.
And you don't know why your friend liked the realtor? You don't know whether it's because of price or they were just friendly, easy to work with.
Yeah, where they were just very prompt and timely but didn't really know how to negotiate a contract, and they wouldn't have had a clue if they were doing it well or not. You know what I mean?
That's the point.
Yeah, so, regardless of what, who refers you or who you get sent to, always do your due diligence and asking questions and trying to dive deeper with that person to find out and make sure that they do have an expertise in the area that you're looking to buy or sell your home. And I think
you can supplement your HomeGain research. You can find a realtor, a couple of them that sound interesting, and you do further research on them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think, like you said, the great part about your service is that you could do it anonymously, so that there's not going to be that pressure that after they answer a couple questions that you have to talk to them anymore. I mean, if you feel comfortable,
it doesn't take much time either.
Yeah.
You get all this information right away, and you get it in the format that you ask them. If they don't respond to your question, well, they're probably not going to be the right one to work for you. So it's different than just rereading reviews of real estate agents online or looking on Yelp or wherever. It's a situation where you're asking them questions and they're responding directly to you anonymously.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great way and a great place to start, guys. Check that out when you get a chance. We're coming up on the end of the show, guys. I want to appreciate everybody for tuning in today. We'll be back again next week from 9 to 10 a.m. Louis, thank you for coming on, buddy. I appreciate it as always.
Thanks for having me on.
Guys, and if in the meantime you ever have any questions, concerns, or real estate needs, please reach out to us, 877-245-2030. Thanks a lot, guys, and have a great week.